So I'm going to keep this account continued. Well, the custom house had all the Puritanic traits, both good and evil. He was like a bitter persecutor, as witnessed the Quakers who have remembered him in their histories and relate an incident of a hard severity towards a woman of their sect, which will last longer, it is to be feared, than any record of his bad deeds, although these were many. His ancestor's son, John Hawthorne, was also an aggressive Puritan who had the persecuting spirit, the custom house, and he was a judge in the Salem witchcraft trials of 1692. So, in my last lecture also, I acknowledge you that you see that directly or indirectly, this story is deeply concerned to the author's life, and this is one of the best clue for that. That his ancestor, one of his ancestor, and who was the first man who too had been working as a judge in that custom house, and therefore this incident had already been happened in that society, and one of his ancestors was related to this incident, and he was a judge in the Salem witchcraft trials of 1692. The later Hawthornes were perhaps less fanatical, and seagoing traditions seemed to be popular with them. The family declined in wealth and social importance, but in the due course of time, you see, situation had become worse as far as the economical condition was concerned of that family. So the writer's father, whose name was Captain Nathenial Hawthorne, died at Suriname, Dutch Guiana, when the writer was 4 years old. This was in 1808. So you see, from this also you might have come to know that Nathaniel Hawthorne's father's name was also Nathaniel Hawthorne, and in order to distinguish these names, you can add Captain Nathaniel Hawthorne. So he died at Suriname, and that area belonged to the Dutch Guiana, and at the time the writer was merely 4 years old, and this incident took place in 1808. And the writer's mother took her son to live with her relatives in the Salem itself, as the mother and son were poor. So, due to the poor economical situation, then it was the writer's mother. She took her son to live with her relatives in Salem area, and Nathaniel Hawthorne's early years were spent as a partial dependent on of his uncles, one of whom had a flourishing stagecoach business. When he was 12 years old, his mother took him to live with another uncle in Raymond, Maine. In 1817, a severe leg injury crippled him, and this forced him to stay mostly at home and developed a habit of reading. His excessive shyness and the bookishness could perhaps be attributed to this incident in his childhood. So you see that early period, or the beginning period, or the commencing period of Nathaniel Hawthorne's life was not pretty good, just because of poor economical situation. And due to that poor economical situation, his mother was bound to take him to his uncle's house, and his uncle had been living in Salem, and due to the physical element, due to the physical problem, he was bound to stay at his home, and because of that only he spent a lot of time remaining at home. And in the due course of time, he started reading. And however, he went through school and finally joined Baldwin College in New Brunswick, Maine in 1820 and 21, and graduating from there in 1825. He had a distinguished company at this college. Where Franklin Pierce, led the 14th century of the United States. Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, the famous poet laureate of America, whose The Psalm of Life is a very popular poem, and Horatio